Hey guys, welcome back to another stream. This is our weekly Premier League recap. This is game week 19. The past 2 weeks, we've had a little bit of scheduling issues because we've both been so incredibly swamped. But hopefully, going forward, we'll be able to just keep it this time. We're going live, which we usually record, so you guys can get in any questions that you have as well. And we're just going to be talking about all of the Premier League action. Thank you for joining, Andrew and Anto. You guys literally join all of my streams. It's really impressive, your dedication to my channel. So I really appreciate it. But Ken, I know you're not feeling so well. I'm so sorry. Thank you for joining, and how are you feeling?
No, don't worry at all. I think it's just like this time of year. Everyone's just super ill for some reason, and I always get ill at Christmas. I'm always ill at Christmas every single year. It's like a running joke in the family, like, "Oh, you're ill at Christmas," but I'm good, thank you. And it's nice to be back doing the streams.
Oh my god. So I'm always sick around like October, so usually not during Christmas, thankfully, but that's terrible. I feel so bad. But let's get to the Premier League games. Newcastle got their very first win of the season. You must be thrilled about that.
Long time coming, honestly. So obviously I was at the game, but the atmosphere and everything was just incredible. And like we've gone 15, was obviously 15 games now to get the win, and it was so needed. And luckily now, just with the results over the weekend and things, we are only like 3 points from safety at the moment again, so it's not too bad. So I think we're 6 points away from Watford or something like that, who are 17th. So yeah, just absolutely needed. Like I cannot express enough how much it was needed. I think like the end of the game, people were like crying and stuff, but I think it was just like, it seems like ridiculous because like what have we done? We've gone one place from 20th to 19th, but like it was just, I think it was just like the general emotion, like the relief that we actually finally had a win. Like there was an old guy near us just like crying his eyes out, and like I just was like, oh, like at the end of the game crying. But yeah, finally, long time coming. Obviously because now we've got like a horrendous run of fixtures. We've got Leicester, Liverpool, Man City, Man United, and Everton in December, which is just like the worst run of fixtures we could have possibly asked for at Christmas. So yeah, nice to get a win on the board, and hopefully it's not the last.
So what are your expectations for those fixtures? Like what do you think you guys will realistically get? And do you feel that there's a number of points that you should be aiming to get from those games in order to hopefully like stay up from relegation?
So because of the way things were, we were on 7 points, and now obviously we're on 10. And normally it's like 40 points. So realistically, we now need 10 wins for the rest of the season. To have a chance of staying up, depending on how the season goes with other clubs and things like that. The bottom of the table is quite tight, so we might not need that many, but we need 10 wins. The way Leicester's form is at the moment, we are away to Leicester, but we have actually done quite well with them against them in the past. I think we beat them last year, towards like the middle of the season, and I wouldn't be like overly worried about going there necessarily. I don't think it's going to be like we're going to get smashed, which is a good thing. I can see us getting a draw, hopefully. I wouldn't have said that 3 weeks ago, but it just, the change in the team and the attitude and stuff at the moment is just completely different. I can't see us getting anything against Liverpool at all, because again, that is away. I can't see us getting anything at Manchester City. That's at home, but I still can't see it, even though we did draw with them under Steve Bruce, which was random. Again, Manchester United, can't see that happening, even though that's at home as well. Everton, I can maybe see us getting something. Rafa's not in the best position at the moment. The team aren't doing well. Their form's not great. So maybe even if we get 2 points out of the next 4 fixtures, I'll be really happy with that, just because I don't think we're expecting anything from December, and January is so important for us. So yeah, if we can get 2 points, if we can get 4 points from the next 4 fixtures, next 5 fixtures, I'll be over the moon. If we can beat Everton or Leicester, and then draw against the other, then I'll be ecstatic with that.
Awesome. I mean, Leicester just lost 2-1 against Aston Villa. They really
Yeah.
haven't been having a good season, surprisingly. I'm not really sure like quite what's going wrong with Leicester this season, but I think that you guys could definitely try to get something from that. Everton as well. Like I just don't feel that they've been in the same form. I know that like they have a couple of injuries as well. I want to move on to Liverpool. They got a very late win against Wolves, unfortunately for Chelsea fans, after our horrendous weekend. What did you think of the game? I mean, I felt that they could have easily won like 4-0 and they were just a bit unlucky with the opportunities, but they always managed to somehow scrape out a win. It doesn't matter the game, like eventually they get a win, they get those 90th minute goals. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I totally agree. And, the clubs that always end up going on to win the title, even when they don't play well, they always seem to get results. And Liverpool did it again. I thought that, I agree. I think that they were unlucky. It could have been a little bit more. But obviously, Origi ended up and saved them, I guess. A draw wouldn't have been so bad, but yeah, again, they've ground out the result. They've managed to do it right at the last minute, and they need to keep their form now coming into the Christmas period because Klopp keeps complaining that the schedule is extremely tight over Christmas, and it always has been. It's just the Christmas period in the Premier League. It always is like that. You've got Premier League games, Champions League games, FA Cup games towards the beginning of January. So yeah, they're on good form. They're grinding out the wins. I think they've just got to stay fit. The squad's got to stay fit. Don't know what they'll do in January, to be honest, because obviously we're going to be looking towards that now. I don't know where their eyes are going to be or who will be leaving there, but yeah, they did well.
I know, and it just feels like I don't know. They have 4 wins in a row now. City now have 5 wins in a row. Chelsea's form has been so incredibly volatile, like it always is. It's like this Christmas curse with Chelsea. But I do want to start talking about the Chelsea game because well, I don't want to start talking about it, but I think it was like the big talking point of the weekend, unfortunately. So Chelsea go ahead twice in this match, and West Ham come back twice and then go on to win it. From a neutral fan's perspective, what did you think about this game and the goals that we conceded?
So obviously the third goal for West Ham was just a fluke situation. It's very unlikely that you're going to see goals like that against you every week. It was like, like almost a Papa Cisse when he like crossed with the side of his foot and it went in, and that was against Chelsea as well. It's just like an unlucky thing that just it's not going to happen. I did see a lot of people saying, Mendy should have done better that game, and he probably should have because the penalty and things like that. And Jorginho wasn't great, but it is what it is at this point. You can't. I think you said it on one of our streams before. You can't play consistently at 100% all of the time. It's just it's impossible. So yeah, Chelsea just now got to get their heads down. I don't know what your December run of fixtures is like, but you just got to get your heads down. The title race is still very much close. And no one's, leaking away so far between you, Liverpool, and Manchester City at the moment. So yeah, it's one of them things. And I always say it on here, I think I've become almost like a Chelsea fangirl. I don't know what's going on, but
like I would always
yeah, you are. You literally make me want them to do well. But obviously, Tuchel, and there has been some injuries. Obviously, Trevoh Chalobah got injured and things like that. Ben Chilwell. So it's just about now relieving that pressure, staying calm, and just kicking on, because you cannot. The form that you guys were on, the form that Mendy was on, it's just impossible to stay at that level all the time. So I don't want to see any negativity towards Mendy necessarily on a high scale, because he's just done incredibly well over the last however seasons with you guys. So yeah, it's just a shame about Lukaku as well, because I think he needs to come into it and start really I guess not putting the money where his mouth is, because it's not his fault, but yeah, he needs to start showing what he can do. now he's back from injury. So hopefully we see a little bit more from him over December.
Yeah, I think that there were like a couple of things from this match. Like first, I saw this like crazy stat that in Thomas Tuchel's time at Chelsea have only conceded 2 or more goals 3 times, and in
Wow.
all 3 of those games, N'Golo Kante wasn't on the pitch, which is
Right.
insane. It like really just tells you how important N'Golo Kante is to this team. Regarding the West Ham's first goal, absolutely gifted. Who do you place at fault for that? Was it Jorginho for the bad back pass? Was it Mendy for not clearing it? Was it a little bit of both? Like that goal just when I saw that, I was like, you got to be kidding me. And that's also 2 massive goal, what's the word? Like goal inducing, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
goals that were kind of started because Jorginho
Okay.
was at fault. Well, at least made a mistake, and then it led to a goal. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it was a mixture of both, because I think if Jorginho hadn't done that ridiculous, I don't even know what he was like attempting really at that point. It was just
He was getting pressed by Declan Rice. And I thought that it was actually like very clever from Declan Rice, because he knows that
yeah,
Jorginho is never going to turn when he's being pressed. He's always going to play in the direction that he's facing. And Declan Rice presses him and kind of pressures him. And so it would have been better if he just kicked it out for a corner
Yeah.
at that point. But he tried to pass it to Mendy to keep possession, which is always a risk when you're playing out of the back.
It's so dangerous to pass along the back line like that, especially with a team that plays so high up like West Ham do when they're on the attack. It's just extremely dangerous to do that. And sorry, 1 second. I'm like trying to do things. It's so dangerous to play along the back line. If you can hear that music, I'm very sorry about that. Please take that away. No one wants to hear that strange, like, I don't know what it was, like flute music. But yeah, it's dangerous to play on the back line like that, totally, especially if, as I said, West Ham play so high up as the way that they were doing and attacking the way that they were. And if Jorginho hadn't have misplaced that pass, then Mendy wouldn't have had to almost panic in terms of having to save it from that point. So yeah, it's probably a mixture of blame, because when you are senior players and you're playing at the higher level, you should probably do a little bit better across both fields, I guess. But yeah, it's just one of them things. Again, as I say, it's unlikely of Jorginho to make that many mistakes and play that poorly in a game.
Yeah, and I think for Mendy as well, he, like you said, he's been so brilliant. I think the third goal he should have done better. The second goal looked like the defense just didn't clear it and he wasn't going to save that. But it was just unfortunate, because I honestly felt that Chelsea were playing really well in this game. I thought that they were unlucky to concede that first goal. I thought it was a silly goal to concede. Go on to score arguably one of the goal of the month, maybe goal of the year contenders. Like, people aren't really talking about it because we lost, but Mason Mount scored an absolute worldie, and it all started from Ruben Loftus-Cheek hoofing the ball up to Ziyech picking out the pass to Mason, and Mason hitting it first touch. And I thought that was really brilliant, and I wanted to at least give some positivity to an otherwise quite negative game. Just to get to some viewer comments here, Andrew says, Chelsea's form got worse from the moment I tripled up on Chelsea's defensive effort. I'm selling them now. That is mad that you tripled up, Andrew. I doubled up, and I was thinking the same thing, and I was like, oh, I'm nuts for doubling.
Yeah, I had Mendy as well, and I was just like, oh, but luckily I had Antonio as well, so like kind of like offset it a little bit. And I think I also subbed Jorginho in like last week. So I was just like having a nightmare, but luckily Antonio like slyly saved me from that game.
I got nothing from the game. I have Alonso and Reece James, and they were both really close to scoring or getting an assist. Didn't happen. Of course, Chelsea concedes 3 goals conceded against Burnley as well. Like, just in all of our, I think in Watford as well, we've conceded like no clean sheets. My fantasy team is just getting worse by the week.
Mine is. I don't even like looking at it now because it's so bad. People are getting like 95 points, and I'm like, how? Like, how
I
are you
know, I'm
doing
like
this? I need to
lucky
understand.
number 30 right now. It's so bad. Bernardo Silva saved my team. Bernardo Silva and Salah, like the only two that
Yeah,
actually performed well. It's a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare. Keanu says injuries, poor finishing, individual errors were literally our own worst enemy. Yeah, I mean, I saw that Kovacic is fit. He's back in full training. He should be back hopefully for the game at the weekend. Not in time for the Champions League game. So that's going to be a massive boost because we literally have had like all of our midfielders
yeah,
out. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Chelsea do on that left hand side because I don't think even for rotation purposes, like you can't have just Marcus Alonso playing
yeah.
every single game. You need somebody who's going to be able to fill in. And right now, Chelsea really don't have a backup. We saw Reece James play as a left wing back. We saw Aspie fill in there as well, but neither of them are in there.
There's
Out
been
and
talk
out.
of like Saul fitting in there as well, hasn't there? Because he's
Yes,
played
what
there in his
give me
career.
your
Yeah.
thoughts on that? I'm curious because I haven't seen him play for Atletico, and how did he play as a left wing back?
He hasn't played as a left wing back for quite a while, but he, as I used to say, he's a utility midfielder and he can be used all across midfield really, even as the likes of a wing back. And he has played quite well in his career, but just his time at Chelsea is just not going well for him. And I think putting him in a position, he basically wanted to leave Atleti anyway because he wanted to play in centre midfield and he was getting sick of being moved around all the time. Hence why when we spoke about this before, when the whole thing happened, I said that the reason he was leaving was because he doesn't have a role in the squad. And that concerns me because he's almost gone to Chelsea and it's like the exact same situation. He doesn't have a role in centre midfield because you guys in the pivot that you play have normally got the players there like Conte, Kovacic, for example. Whoever comes in there and kind of switches. He has not played well. I don't know whether it's a good idea to put him there just simply because it's just another, if it goes wrong, it's just another thing to be like, oh, he's just so bad at this, blah, blah, blah. But again, on the other hand, you've got to kind of trust in Tuchel and believe that he said he's seen it in training. He said he's, he thinks he'll be okay there. And it might end up being the position that he plays for you at the moment. So I don't know. He has played there and he has done well in his career. He's averaged like a 7 across most, a 7 out of 10 in most midfield positions. So I just don't know. I think it's more, I'm thinking on a term of like him. Like his confidence and his ability in the Premier League so far has been extremely below par. So I just think like this is it's like make or break for him now. If he does play there, it's just make or break for him. He either has to make that position his own and come into his own again, or he that's it. I don't think you guys will be looking to buy him anytime soon. I don't think.
No, I don't think we're going to buy him at the end of this season. Like, I would be absolutely shocked if Chelsea do that.
100%.
He's gotten subbed off twice at halftime. How much of a blow do you think that is to him? And do you think that we're going to see him playing for Chelsea again? Because I think, 2 halftime subs hasn't played well when he's been playing for Chelsea.
No, he's just not looked like anything like you see him in La Liga. And I did say like I was worried that his physicality was going to be an issue in the Premier League because it's just a completely different flow of the game to La Liga. And I don't think if you don't watch La Liga like on a regular basis or like other European football, you actually understand like how much of a difference it is in the style of play, or just the league in general and the intensity. It is a blow to him because I think realistically, when we looked at this, it was like a win-win situation. He went to Chelsea, got Premier League experience, which is amazing. He ended up either going to Chelsea if he did really well, or if Chelsea weren't going to be interested in buying him, he had more experience, he had more strings to his bow when he came back to La Liga, and he was going to come back into the Atleti squad with renewed confidence, renewed skills, and like none of that has happened. So now he either comes back to Atleti and he's just a hanger on for a few years, or he comes back and we try to offload him elsewhere, which is really sad because he's been at us for such a long time.
Yeah,
Since he was a really young boy, and it's like really sad that it's turned out the way that it has right now. maybe if he goes into left wing back, it might be better. I don't know, but I just don't think you see players and they're just not made for the Premier League. And unfortunately, I just think he's probably one of them.
Yeah, it's I listen to his live. I say that like literally every time I talk about Saul, but I listened to his live stream when he was moving to Chelsea on Twitch, and I thought that it was really interesting that he was so open about how he was feeling in the transfer and
Yeah,
the moves. And I thought that that was like such a rare quality to have in
definitely.
a footballer, and I really was rooting for him. So I think it's just like so unfortunate that it hasn't worked out. Hello, thanks for joining. Talking about like another move to La Liga, I have seen some terrible reports that Aspi might be moving to Barcelona on a free transfer at the end of the season. I cannot get through.
No.
I'm literally about to tear up at the thought of this. Like, you guys do not understand how much I like he's my favorite player. And he hasn't been playing. I don't know what's been going on, guys. If anybody has answers as to why Aspie has not been playing for Chelsea, I literally have no ideas, because he was injured, then he went to the Spanish national team, came back and really hasn't played. And I do not want to, like, you, maybe it's a contract thing, maybe because he hasn't signed an extension, he's not been playing. I have
Yeah.
no idea. But that's going to be devastating for me.
I would
Absolutely.
love Aspie. Like, I would actually die. I would literally die to have Aspie in my team. Like, quite literally. I think he's one of the most underrated signings in the last decade in the Premier League. He's won practically everything there is to win at Chelsea. He has been an unbelievable leader. He has consistently performed at a high level. He's never, had a really horrific season where you're like, oh, like, he's been so bad. It's almost baffling to me, but obviously Chelsea look like they want to move forward with, the likes of the young wing back situation like Reece James and things like that. But he just provides so much cover, and to go to Barcelona of all teams, oh god, like I can't even. That would be so devastating. Like from to
They're
go to
just like
Barcelona.
they're like in a rebuilding phase. Like, I don't think it would be a good move for him either.
No.
Well, I have, where is it? It's back here. For you guys that don't know, Aspi literally gave me this because he saw that I was looking for him when the Spanish national team was training. They legit train 5 minutes from my apartment. I tweeted like, I'm gonna go try to run into him, and he saw it and left me a signed jersey. Like, this is how nice he is. Imagine what he does for the team. If he did this for a stranger, like, it's mad. It's my prized possession. I need to hang it up at some point.
But
But
that's just so nice though. Like you just don't get footballers
don't
doing
do
that.
that. What footballer does that? Like, I don't see it anywhere, I'm literally almost on the point of tears thinking about this. Yeah, I was crying when Eden laughed as well. I think that this is going to be even worse for me, because Aspie's been at the club forever, and just because he's like personally given me that, like, I'm going, yeah, I'm very lucky. Yeah, I don't know how he saw that tweet, but he's so nice to think about, to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take out my time out of my day from training
Oh,
with this
it's so nice.
national team to sign a jersey, and he just like happened to have a Chelsea jersey with him as well. I was like,
Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? I didn't think about that because you just said he was the national team. That didn't cross my mind.
I
I wonder if
know.
he just like carries them around just in case.
Yeah, just have him in his back
Yeah.
pocket in case he runs into a Chelsea fan. Yeah, Keanu says, thoughts on Hazard back to Chelsea. We're missing a clutch player in this team. West Ham, Everton also interested. And we also have like Hala Madrid in here. So I'm curious to know your thoughts about this. Apparently, Real are open to sell Hazard for like 21 million or something, like ridiculous,
Wow.
like really, really cheap. Kendall, if you were Chelsea, do you take Eden Hazard back for 21 million?
Like 21 million seems like really like nothing in this like current climate of football. It seems like nothing, especially for a player who will just instantly lift the fans. Like, the fans love Hazard. I don't think I've ever seen a Chelsea fan who doesn't. And just everything that he did and the player that he became at Chelsea. Just like right now, like, he has not had the best, I would say, 3 years, 4 years. It just hasn't. It just never, ever went well for him after the move. And obviously the long-term injuries is an issue. Like, are you going to be paying 20 million for someone who's just going to come for like the morale factor, like, which is just, it doesn't really seem right. But then again, he could come and he could be renewed. He could be like the Hazard that everyone loved. He could be, I don't really know if he necessarily fits into like the system that Tuchel wants to play, but I guess he's Hazard. He can kind of just slot in anywhere. And attacking wise, obviously for Chelsea, you've been relying on like midfielders and defenders for goals at the moment. So I think that's a really hard question. I don't think anyone would be upset if he came back necessarily, especially not for 21 million. I think that's nothing. We paid 25 for Joe Willock, so it's like kind of 21's nothing.
For Chelsea as well, though.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's.
I don't know. What do you think? Would you have him back?
I mean, the thing is, like, I literally have the softest spot for Eden Hazard in my heart. He's one of those players that I think he's one of Chelsea's best ever players, and one of the most unique players in the world when he was at his absolute peak. Hala Madrid said Hazard has become too injury prone, unfortunately. Ancelotti doesn't rate him, just hasn't been the same since that PSG game. I don't think he's been the same since he moved to Real. Like, I feel like I didn't ever see him play like one completely good game that I can say like, yes, Eden Hazard is definitely back. But it's so hard because it is money. But if it was like 20 mil and you say, okay, you're obviously not going to be making loads of money, but we're going to take you from Real Madrid and bring you back home where you're going to be adored by fans. I don't know. I would probably do it because I'm a sucker and I don't think rationally, and I'm willing to admit that I don't think rationally when it comes to Eden Hazard. But I just see like how the Spanish press talks about him and like how Real Madrid fans feel about him. I feel so bad, and he's given Chelsea so much, and I know that he was the one who wanted to move on from Chelsea and it was his decision. But I just feel like if we can, I don't know, make him happy and he kind of retires at Chelsea and then that's it. My
issue with him is that he's not going to win you a title.
No, he's not.
Say you guys missed out on the title this year, for example, or whatever, or you didn't win anything this year, just for example. Like, he's not going to be the player that comes back and pushes you, that like how Man United fans thought Ronaldo was going to be that one that was going to like push him to a title. Hazard's just not going to be that. And I think that Chelsea is so like the Chelsea structure is about winning, like it's about success, and I think maybe that might be like the stumbling block, that because they're not going to bring someone in who's just going to be there for like the crack. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, they spent 100 million on Lukaku thinking that he was going to be the answer to the goal situation or the striker situation, if you will. He obviously, unfortunately, hasn't kicked on just quite yet. So I think maybe that might be the thing where they're just like,
I don't think it's going to happen. Like, I really don't. But I would hate to see it. There are some comments in here that West Ham are thinking about signing him. Like, I would literally hate to see him.
Yeah, I'd hate to go to another Premier League team.
Like, I would literally just have him for that. And guys, a lot of people are like, it doesn't make any sense. I know that it doesn't make any sense. Like, it would legit be morale signing because, like you said, you're not going to be counting on Eden Hazard to be winning you games like he did. Andrew says, I think modern managers just like Tuchel wouldn't fancy him because we need players who run, press, track back. Yeah, that's right. Eden Hazard does not do that. He apparently like didn't even really train because he was just so good that the managers were like, whatever, you just go onto the pitch, and he would just like be chilling and training. And I mean, I don't think that Tuchel would put up with that or quite like that. But I just feel so bad for him for how things have gone. I really do.
It's like, where's his next move going to be now, though? Because if he doesn't go back to Chelsea and he does go to another Premier League team, like I just think a strange move. Like, I don't know. I just think it's strange because he left the Premier League an utter legend. Like, he was just incredible. And I just think sometimes players come back and are never the same, and that it like tarnishes them a little bit. Like, look at Torres. Like, Torres, I know he didn't leave and come back to the Premier League, but him going to Chelsea was like the literal downfall of his career. Like, he was just never the same. And I just like worry that he comes back to the Premier League and just doesn't do anything. Like Alexis Sanchez, for example, like just doesn't do anything in the Premier League and is awful. But like, why doesn't he go to, like, I don't know, Italy seems to be like the retirement home for like players now. I don't know. People over like the age of 32, 33, like Zeko and stuff, like they've all gone to Italy and are doing pretty okay. So maybe he should go to Italy and just like bag a few goals and like look good again, and then he can just be happy.
Yeah, I think, like, I honestly don't think that he would sign for another Premier League club. Like, I really don't think he would do that to Chelsea fans. I don't know why it just came into my mind that he was like, I'm not going to sign for like another team in France. If I go back to France, I would play for Lille. If I go back to England, I would play for Chelsea.
Okay.
So maybe DVD, who he plays for in Italy, who knows, just to like top out the leagues. And just says there's no point in resigning Hazard. He didn't trust Chelsea and his career is over now. I don't think it's like he didn't trust them. I think like if you're looking at the point that Chelsea were at and that Real Madrid were at the time when Hazard left Chelsea, 2018, Chelsea were not close to winning anything. I think we had just won the Europa League because Hazard literally carried us on his back to the Europa League trophy. But there was a big gap in quality between the likes of Liverpool City and Real Madrid were winning everything at that point. They were like consistently winning La Liga, consistently winning like 3 Champions Leagues in a row. And then it just so happens that Thomas Tuchel came in and Chelsea won a Champions League, which is ironic because Hazard's left, I think, to win the Champions League. Courtois left to win the Champions League, and Chelsea ended up winning it, but before they did with Real. But I think he loved Chelsea. At least, I don't know. I really think that he did. But anyways, let's get back to the Premier League because I can talk about Eden Hazard forever. So obviously, another big game, Watford versus City. City beat Watford 3 goals to 1 goal. Bernardo Silva had an absolute worldie, one of the best players in the world right now, surely.
Yeah, 100%. He's one of the best players in the Premier League at the moment. Obviously, him and Mo Salah's form is just exceptional in the Premier League right now. I just think that goal was just like ridiculous. It was just so good.
So good, but
it was just that goal where it was like almost on an angle. Like, it was just like the coolest, calmest finish. And you know, it's almost hilarious that his Man City career was nearly done because they were just like they wanted to move him on, and it never happened. I don't know whether he wanted to leave. I don't know whether it was Man City that wanted him to leave, and he literally was nearly out the door. And now he has just had this renewed like sense of like positivity and attacker-minded nature in the league this year, and he has become like their talisman guy. Because they obviously didn't sign a striker in terms of they didn't sign the Harry Kane that I guess they wanted, so he is now like become their like. It's just like their guy. That's all I can express. He's just had a total turnaround and has become incredible. And yeah, he's on absolutely unbelievable form right now.
It's insane. Bernardo Silva saved my fantasy game week as well.
Yeah.
That's 5 wins in a row for City. And they kind of didn't have like the best start to the season, and we saw this again like last season as well, that they didn't have the best start, and then they went on to have this ridiculous unbeaten streak, 5 wins in a row in the Premier League for them now, 4 in a row for Liverpool. Chelsea, 2 wins, 2 draws, and a loss in their last 5 games. So do you think that the title race is still like a 3-horse race, or do you think that Liverpool and City are starting to slowly kind of drift apart from Chelsea?
I think Christmas, we always say this every season, but Christmas will be the teller of everything because the schedule is so condensed. It is extremely busy, and you have got to perform at the highest level at Christmas to make sure that you are in that top 3, in that top 4 position by the time January comes. I still think it's a 3-horse race all day long. It could even be, you could even include the likes of Man United in that. I know not currently, but they have got a new manager in, and who is an absolute incredible tactician. So, but at the moment, it is a 3-horse race. No one's dropping behind too far at the moment. It is still very much close at the top, and I just think the way Chelsea are coached, I think the form that Liverpool and Man City are on, they've all got extremely world-class managers. So yeah, I wouldn't just discount anyone quite yet. And you know, you won't be the only team who has injuries. Liverpool will get injuries at some point, Man City will get injuries at some point, and the same will happen to them. So yeah, definitely still a 3-horse race for me, 100%.
Yeah, for me, I'm just feeling very nervous. Given our latest run of form, like I feel that we did so well in the Champions League because it's just like very specific games that you play at the highest of levels that you prepare for. And Tuchel has that absolutely dialed in and dominated. But the problem with the Premier League is that we're just playing so many games in such short succession. It's difficult to say. And well, another thing is that Chelsea just have a load of injuries, which doesn't help. Of course, we had, I think, 7 players out, so like 6 or 7 first-team players out against Watford, and then another like 3 or 4 against West Ham. And still, I feel that Chelsea should be winning these games. But that's the thing that worries me, I think, is that we haven't been super clinical in front of goal. And instead now we're even starting to concede goals. Like we haven't kept a clean sheet in a few games. So, and at the same time, it feels that City and Liverpool are just like grinding out wins no matter what.
Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll revisit at the end of this Christmas period. I'm taking a look. Chelsea play. I have my little content scheduler open. We play Zenit midweek in the Champions League, then Leeds, Everton, Wolves, Brentford in the Cup, Aston Villa, Brighton, and then Liverpool. So realistically, like all very winnable games for Chelsea, but a lot of games in a short period of time. TBD. Who do you see taking that 4th spot? Obviously, Tottenham and Manchester United both have new managers in. Both got wins at the weekend, 1-0 for United and 3-0 for Tottenham. Who do you see right now is going to edge out? Or maybe another team, like a West Ham, for example. They've beaten Liverpool and Chelsea 3-2.
Yeah, I think West Ham are doing incredibly. Their form is incredible. I really wouldn't be discounting them at all. I think last year, the end of the season, really strongly. This year, they're doing the exact same. You know, normally people like discount teams like West Ham and the Leicesters and the things like that, and expect them to go into the new season without the form that they ended the last season on. No, West Ham have come in. I think they're coached incredibly well. January is going to be very important for them because they are going to want to strengthen that squad because it's probably not up to par with the likes of Manchester United in terms of getting to that next, just pushing them to that next level. But for me, I wouldn't be discounting them. I don't think Tottenham are another team who have the squad to beat the likes of Manchester United in terms of squad depth and quality across the board. So, but they have Conte, which is another offset thing. He's a winner. He likes success, but it's going to be a hard job to turn around in his first season. Depending on, again, what happens in January. They might have a little bit of money to spend in the summer, but that's way too far away now because I think Harry Kane will probably, depends on what happens. Harry Kane might not leave now because they have got a bit of ambition behind them. But yeah, I think it'll be, if you're looking on the outside, and I think it'll be Manchester United for me. They've got an incredible tactician in Ralph Rangnick who's come in. They've obviously got Ronaldo, and he's not finished, despite what a lot of people want to say. I think Manchester United's squad is maybe 2 quality players from being one of the best squads in the league. A DM, if you will, and a centre-back. I just think they're incredible. So, yeah, Manchester United will take that 4th spot for me, I think.
Yeah, I I agree. It'll be interesting to see kind of like how Ragnick gets on, because
Yeah.
obviously it does take some time to implement your ideas. And I think that he's usually like his teams have been very like high pressing, which is not one of Ronaldo's strengths, but you do have Ronaldo in your side. And so it's kind of like, what do? You have one of the best players still in the world playing for you, but he doesn't really go with how they're playing. Chelsea kind of facing that as well with Lukaku, like not knowing how to get
Yeah.
the best out of him. It's super frustrating. But yeah, it's been a pretty crazy run of games this weekend. Hopefully, better for Chelsea fans. I know that Everton and Arsenal face off against each other. Arsenal are kind of like on the brink of, well, brink. They're close to breaking into the top four if they win this game. Who do you see? Oh my God, Everton are in 16th. They've had 4 losses in 5 games. That's mad. I didn't realize they were playing so poorly.
Yeah. Rafa is under serious pressure there now. Really serious pressure. They never wanted him in anywhere. It was just never. It was almost like when we got Steve Bruce, because obviously Steve Bruce managed Sunderland in the past, and yes, that wasn't the reason why we didn't like him or want him as a manager. We just knew the deal. Very similar to Rafa Benitez, except Rafa Benitez is levels and levels and levels above of Steve Bruce in the type of manager that he is. But it was just never going to be a good fit. The board at Everton is a power trip. They love power. It is full of narcissistic egos, like a lot of boards in football, and he is not going to get the control that he probably wants at that club. It's just not going to happen. So it was never going to be a good fit anyway. And I do feel sorry for him. And I think he probably wishes now that he just held on a little bit. Because I think it would have just been a shoe-in if he was available. He would have just got the Newcastle job straight away when we got the takeover. So yeah, I do feel sorry for him. But I just think Arsenal are going to take the win. Although when Rafa's under pressure, he plays a reliable football, he normally grinds out a result. So, but yeah, I just think Arsenal probably will win this one.
It's a shame that things were going so well with Ancelotti, and he was like supposed to be building with them, and then he just left for Real, and they kind of, haven't.
He didn't even hesitate, did he? He was just like, bye.
Yes. See you later. We have a question from Darren. We did talk about this at the beginning of the stream, but since you asked so nicely, I'll ask Kendall again. Ken, how many points are Newcastle getting out of their next 4 fixtures?
Yeah, out of the next 4, if we get 3 out of the next 4, I'll be ecstatic, absolutely ecstatic. I think it's possible because I think Leicester is winnable right now, just with the form that they're on. They're not doing great. Their squad's miles better than ours, but I just think defensively they're not great. So Leicester's a winnable game for me. It's not impossible, but yeah, 3, I think.
Yeah, nice. I'm just going through to see if there's any more comments. Yeah, we talked about this as well. I was already almost crying, so I will do something very special if Aspie leaves. If you guys have any ideas of a tribute to do for him, I will do it.
I have seen a couple of comments mentioning Griezmann at Chelsea, but if anyone doesn't know, Atleti have an obligation to buy if Griezmann plays over 50% of league games this season, which he's literally plays every game. So we are probably going to end up with Griezmann at the end of the season. So I don't think it'll be going to Chelsea really, but you never know.
I mean, Chelsea has so many attackers. I just feel like there's surely no way.
Yeah.
If there's anybody that Chelsea were to go for, I think it would be Haaland, because he has his clause that kicks in at the end of this season, and it's like 60 mil. But I even don't think that we would maybe go for him after just buying Lukaku for like 100 million this season. I really would be surprised, and you would have to sell maybe a few players in order to bring Haaland in, maybe like Werner, Ziyech, maybe somebody else as well. I don't know, but I really don't want Haaland going to City. Like they would just win everything every single year if he goes to City, in my opinion. But guys, we've been talking for 45 minutes. That's absolutely mad. yeah, been a crazy week of football. Hopefully next week us Chelsea fans can finally be happy with the result, because it's been a rough couple of fixtures. Hopefully you guys can get something against Leicester as well. But Ken, thanks as always for joining. I really appreciate it. Let everybody know where they can find you.
No, it's really nice to be back. Yeah, you can find me just here. This is all my socials, literally YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch as well. I will be live on Twitch later on for the FA Cup draw from 7 p.m. because that is on tonight as well. The third round FA Cup draw. So yeah, if you want to just catch me over there, that'll be amazing. And obviously, please make sure you subscribe to Ellie, because we always are here most Mondays, schedules allowing, because it's just been a little bit crazy the last few weeks. But yeah, please make sure you tune in as well next week, and hopefully it's on another win for Newcastle and a win for Chelsea this time. Hopefully.
Yes. I hope so too. Guys, thank you for watching. If you like this, sub to the channel, follow us on social media. You have all of the links in the description below. Trying to figure out how to use TikTok. So if you like TikTok, help me figure out how to use it. Give me advice. Watch my videos. I don't know. Thank you so much for taking time to chill with us this Monday night. And yeah, until next time, we're out.